Good evening again, one and all. Thank you for joining me again this evening for another round of the Giulietta Championship here, brought to you by the sponsored by AutoItalia and brought to you by the Alfa Romeo Championship Association. I should know that by now after being so many weeks, but there we are. We are here once again at Thruxton this evening, which is located in Andover, New Hampshire, which is fairly close to me. A county over, if you will. Probably one of the closest race circuits to me. So it's a home circuit myself, if you will. Let us just go through what the championship standings are this evening. After how many races have we had? We are on round race 21, 22, and 23. So after 20 races of an overall 30. We have Matt Daly topping the table after drop stores have been accounted for with 301 points. Colin Knief not too far behind. I think they've clawed back a little bit of points from the last few races. Currently on 282. And then we have Andrew Whitehead in third place there with 236 points. Paul Plant in fourth. Alan Matthews close to Paul Plant down in fifth. Greg Young in sixth. Barry Clayton sits in seventh. Anthony Gray in eighth. Luke Wiggins in ninth. And Andrew Cracker in 10th place, rounding up top 10. Then we have for the AM standings, we have Luke Wiggins on 290 points, Rob Whitney on 245, Paul Millman in third place down 235, 10 points behind, closing the gap possibly. Guy Swarbrick down in fourth with 215, and Steve Knight, the only person noteworthy, on 171 points in fifth place. So let me just let's do that. Wonderful. And let us bring in. There we are. I am joined once again by Reeve, the co-commentator this evening. How are you today?
I am great, thank you very much. Good evening, McRae. Good evening, everyone. Thruxton, kind of getting towards the closing stages of the championship now. It should be a good one. A very high-speed circuit here.
It is. We're just closing into the last third of the championship with a triple race weekend this evening. So let's just jump over to how everyone is doing in qualifying.
So Greg Young had a pretty catastrophic off on his last hot lap, but looks like he's out ready for another one now.
He is indeed. Currently sits in ninth at the moment, running down the order quick. Although
going for an Explore.
There's
two people going for an Explore.
Two of them, yes. I think we're. Sure who the other one was, but joined our provisional poll. He is currently in the pits at the moment, but that is Colin Knief at the moment. Alan Matthews sitting on the front row of the grid with him, half second behind, so very small gaps, it appears, for the moment.
Colin Knief definitely isn't safe there. Will Inglis, he must have been the person, I'm guessing, who had the little off as well.
Yes, it was.
Also within a second.
Indeed. So putting a good pace is English. Barry Clayton in fourth. We are missing a fair few people from the lobby, it looks like. We are missing Andrew Whitehead. We're also missing championship leader Matt Daly for the moment. Yes, who else we have? Guy Swarbrick putting in a good position up into fifth place. Will Harper down in sixth. Also have Paul Millman in 8th at the moment. All provisional places at the moment as well. There's still 15 minutes of qualifying remaining. Matt Daly is just exiting the pits on his outlap.
This will be one to watch.
He will indeed. What can he do in the final stages of the qualifying?
Really improves nicely there and find himself on third.
He does indeed, yes. Pushes Will Inglis down a peg. Got his lights on at the moment. Just he's extra visible on the circuit. But a very tight gap between second and third.
Oh yeah.
Alan Matthews and Luke Wiggins always tend to be fighting for the same spot of track, I've noticed. They're always very, very evenly paced and always tend to be fighting for the same bit.
Yeah, we usually see a good few battles between those two.
Greg Young down in fifth at the moment. So Thruxton itself being 2.3 miles this evening in Andover in Hampshire. Should be good.
Well, what I think a section to watch is going to be as we see is that Luke Wiggins having a bit of an explore, was it? Or was that Will Inglis? Sections to watch will be at the race starts. Obviously, we've got the fast sweep in turn 1, but that instantly goes into, I think that'll be considered turn 3, the sharp right-hander straight away, and everyone will be piling into that, I imagine. So the drivers will be looking to keep it clean through there, to try and not pick up too many penalties.
It will. There's quite a big sweeping open circuit, isn't it? Turn 1 into Allard, and then you said Campbell, Cobham, and Seagrave all being very tight, slower corners. So that would be the one that I think is going to cause a few issues, isn't it? But yeah, quite a higher speed circuit, isn't it? Overall, quite short as well, so we could see some lapped cars. And I think the other thing's been from the drivers as well during the week, talking about the track limits as well, haven't they?
Yes.
I think as well, being quite aggressive.
We have implemented a computerized system for it, just to alleviate a bit of the steward's job. and some of the rounds they did have a hell of a task on their hands, keeping up with all of the penalties and that type of thing. So where we can and where obviously it works best, I think we've implemented a computer system just to alleviate that a bit. But also, I quite like it, to be honest. It makes everything, as we see Greg Young just overcooking it a little bit, and flashing for good measure. I quite like it, to be honest, because it makes everything a bit cut and dry. It forces the drivers to stay on track, and there's no kind of what if about it.
Indeed. But I think if you drive through penalties, it's going to be the new computer system forcing them to be within the boundaries of the circuit, which it should be, really. If you stay within the white lines, it's everyone follows the same sort of rules, then it should all be nice and fair.
Matt Daly's put in a nice lap to be just a 10th down on Colin Knief there. So Colin Knief still not feeling comfortable.
No, not indeed. Just warming up the tyres there. You could see just going for another flying lap. But Matt Daly not been on the circuit long at all in the qualifying session, and already showing his pace as he has done all season. As he goes through the club chicane, which could be quite a decisive one as well in the last stages of the race. But yes, a very quick pace from Matt Daly as well. Andrew Whitehead missing from the lobby so far. 10 minutes remaining, still time for him to jump in and to get a good qualifying pace. If not, it will probably considered one of his job scores.
Yes, I have heard rumour in the paddock that he may be in absence owing to lack of track time.
I see.
I think he's gone for the safe route and decided to.
I see. Great shame if it does. If we do miss him a little
impressive
bit.
Impressive amount of sparks come from Matt Daly's car, and we have a bit of a graphical glitch.
It was.
Small Alfa Romeo typical explosion, I think that was.
Open setups and decided to completely deck the car for Thruxton. It does look quite flat, doesn't it? It doesn't look like you need a lot of suspension movement or any sort of undulations to deal with. So. Could be an interesting one.
Also, in these TCR cars that will make the back end rather leery sometimes. Especially if they're trying to find a little bit of time on the curbs. Matt Daly trying to clear. Oh, he's trying to clear himself a bit of space, I think, and very nearly had a bit of a crash with. Was that Paul Millman?
I think that was Paul Millman. Yes. Trying to avoid him. Avoiding him at last minute. That may have had a slight effect on Millman's lap time. Currently sitting in 11th on the grid. I think he is capable of going a bit higher, a bit quicker, but if he has to put it in practice, of course, it's not going to be easy for him. Of course, he's going to be in slipstream for Millman. Millman's gone off. He's going to make contact. He does indeed.
Yes, he does. He loses the back end and has a little bit of a heavy collision with Matt Daly there.
So they have time. Matt Daly disconnecting for some reason, but they have time for.
I'm wondering if Matt Daly disconnects and then rejoins, will it instantly give him a fixed car? Oh, as Colin Knief improves nicely there.
I'm not sure. I would have thought just going to the pits and doing that would have done a similar effect, but not too sure on that one. Smells in the pits. It does indeed. It ekes out a massive amount of time over Alan Matthews. Alan Matthews put in 2 personal best sectors, but goes wide, and that will discount that lap.
Yeah, that'll be one that the computerized system will definitely pick up on, I think.
It seems to be, if this is the corner, I think it is going into club, which it is. So it's Church Corner that seems to be catching them out a little bit. So you've picked up a massive amount of speed through the village, and they're trying to spot a decent braking point and carry as much speed as possible through Church down through Brooklands as well. It's catching them out a little bit.
Yeah, definitely. It's a highly technical bit of track, really. I mean, it's a very nasty chicane after that ultra high speed area. You do want to, when you're still in the heading in towards Church, that sort of thing, you do want to position your car absolutely perfectly, because if you don't, you will mess up the entry into club.
I can imagine going through Church as well as you go through the race. Your sort of turning in point's going to change constantly as well, isn't it? You can probably hang the car out a bit more if it's cooler conditions, fresher tyres, things like that, and then it's going to be a lot more slippery going through the latter stages of the race, isn't it? So yeah, that's could be one to watch for a lot of them, as that Audi clearly is going to be a bit unhappy with having a Giulietta inside of it at the moment.
Yes, that's an interesting lineup in the A4 range.
Yeah.
But yeah, as you say, they will have to watch how they enter that corner going into the race. I mean, they will lose a bit of weight throughout the race, but at the same time, I don't know fully about the tyre wear yet, but I imagine this is going to absolutely cook the front left on these cars at these speeds.
I suspect so. Luke Wiggins currently leading the AM Championship, lining up on the second row of the grid so far, with a few of the faster drivers dropping out. He's got an opportunity to show what he can really do.
Bit of traffic here for Will Inglis and Greg Young.
It does indeed. I think Knief is on an out lap. Greg Young, I think, is on a time lap, isn't it? But yeah, his first sector's definitely been slowed up by Inglis, I think.
Yeah, I think they kind of bunched up, and I think Greg Young was the one who was most disadvantaged. Will Inglis was kind of able to carry on. I think Greg Young had to position his car in a way where he wouldn't get squeezed. Will Inglis looked like he dipped a bit of a tyre into the dirt, which wouldn't have helped him too much. I mean, he can still get a good lap in, I imagine. But yeah, so something the drivers will have to watch. They're just not too hot into these long sweeping corners.
Certainly going to be an interesting race, definitely. So 5 minutes qualifying remaining. 10 drivers on.
Wiggins put in a very nice lap there to go just 8/10 behind Colin Knief.
Good indeed. Suffered on his exit through. What was that? What corner was that? That was Allard, I think, wasn't it? But no, good time so far. Inglis just outside of a second on the fastest pace, with Greg Young behind him again. Greg Young on a fast lap as well. They both go wide again. I think that's the village, isn't it? Village Church Corner sort of complex.
Yeah, they were almost in a little battle with each other, weren't they? I think that's been the result of that. As I thought, as if Greg Young's now dragging someone else through onto the dirt. Imagine the bucket and sponge will be out a lot between quali and the race.
trying to clear the grills of all the grass cuttings.
They're just laying foundations for where they want the track to be.
Indeed. Will Harper down in 6th place. Not seen too much of him in qualifying, but good pace on it at the moment. Good sort of even pace with Greg Young and Barry Clayton at the moment in the qualifying session. Striking car as well. Guy Swarbrick putting in a good personal best sector in the first sector. A bit slow in the middle, so I think he's had a little bit of an off.
Matt Daly will be hoping to resolve whatever issues he's having, because that was a very good time, and I'm sure he won't want to see that go amiss. We'll see Guy Swarbrick having some further issues entering the pits.
That's an interesting one. Whether he was meant to go in the pits or not, but no, club into the pit sideways is obviously an option. Not one you'll want to be doing, I think, if you've got to drive through, but yeah, that's quite an interesting one. That's going to be a bit of a tricky one as well, if you do have to go into the pits during the race for whatever reason. It's so short, isn't it? You don't want to, if you've got people trying to barrel through at race pace behind you and you've got to try and slow up a lot sooner, it's going to be a bit of a pinch point, I think.
Yeah, it's not a very nice pit entry at all. It really doesn't flow with the circuit. I mean, these are probably the biggest cars that you really want on Thruxton, I can imagine, especially when we've got as many competitors as we do. As it looked like that was Will Inglis having a bit of a spin on the last corner.
Yeah, it's just on the, again, just at club before coming into the pits, I think. But at the moment, 2 and just under 3 minutes remaining of qualifying for race 1. Colin Cleave just pulling to the side, but currently does have provisional pole position. Luke Wiggins putting in a personal best, but he's going to have to do, I think, a little bit better than that to try and close down on Caniff. This could be a chance for Caniff to really grab some good points if he can get a good start in. Currently only let me use that 29 or so points, I think, by my rather poor maths to Matt Daly in the points table. Fairly achievable.
Yeah, I was going to say, it's definitely not off the cards for him.
Good personal best sectors, Luke Wiggins, but not improves on that last sector a little bit. So a tricky one to get right.
Nevertheless, a very good qualifying for him. You'll be very happy with that, I can imagine.
He's actually leapfrogged Alan Matthews now. So Alan Matthews 5th in the championship at the moment. Luke Wiggins leading the AM Championship. So Luke with a good pace at the moment, really getting on with this circuit. One minute of quali remaining. I think it's just going to be down to who's on circuit at the moment, whether they can get across the line for another lap perhaps, but Clayton, Whitney, Millman, Daly not qualifying again. Not going to have enough time to get out and get around the circuit in time. Still quite a short circuit, 1 minute 15s being the fastest time. Luke Wiggins puts in some good times, but doesn't improve, doesn't need to improve possibly. And Matthews on a hot lap. I think he's slowed up a little bit, isn't he? So I don't think he's going to be able to close down the front row for a better qualifying position, and he's got Luke Wiggins on his tail. they're just tussling it out a little bit at the end of
Yeah, I think
the qualifying session.
both have had a compromised lap, so I imagine they're now just practicing for the battle that's going to ensue into turn 3.
Indeed, it will. Will and Gliss still on a hot lap at the moment. But no, that will invalidate it.
Yeah, that's an interesting line through club there.
So I think that's going to be pretty much it for everyone's time. Colin Knief, no, just on the last lap of qualifying, goes even quicker.
9 to 10, yeah. Very impressive from Colin Knief there. Going to Matt Daly's connection issues there. He's nearly found a second on the car behind.
He has indeed. We're going down in 5th. Will Harper. So we will just get the server reset and then we'll confirm where everyone's landed in the qualifying table in a moment. welcome back to race 1 this evening at Thruxton. So we currently have in the lobby Colin Knief taking pole position, and then for some reason second place is lining up on row 2, a whole position behind. No, there he is. We have been joined by Matt Daly taking second position. So that's that one lap time he did has put him on the front row.
Very lucky Matt Daly there.
Was indeed. Row 2 is Luke Wiggins and Alan Matthews. Row 3 is Will Inglis and Greg Young. Row 4 is Will Harper and Barry Clayton. Row 5 is Guy Swarbrick and Rob Whitney. And at the back is Paul Millman. So, should be a good race. Matt Daly and Colin Knief continuing their championship long battle for points.
Indeed. I'm looking forward to seeing these two battling, because obviously we were slightly robbed of it in qualifying, so it'll be good to see what these two have got against each other heading into this race now.
Indeed. A few seconds left until that begins. A long, sweeping right-hander as they come off the line. A lot of track until they have to find their first braking point into Campbell. So it's all going to depend on the start that these gentlemen can get. So a hard-fought qualifying session. And yeah, let's see what these gentlemen can do. We have our 6 red lights on the gantry. Everyone is raring to go. The engine notes rise. The lights go out and we are away racing at Thruxton, and it's been a good start from both the front runners all the way down to 5th place.
Yeah, they all had a fairly good launch. Matt Daly is exploring down the inside now, and he will carry on the inside turn 2, but now Colin Knief will have the inside down turn 3.
Indeed, a variety of lines there going into the first braking point. Matt Daly and Colin Knief fighting position, still side by side going through the next set of corners. Matt Daly is going to be on the back foot on the outside the circuit. What do we have now as they go through? But Colin Knief has had to concede that position, and Matt Daly has taken first place. All before they've got halfway around the circuit. Down
very good driving by Matt Daly, and he's just kind of hung it around the outside and it's stuck somehow.
Indeed. Winning Gliss has come off a cropper somewhere around the circuit and has ended up at the back of the field. Colin Knief looking for an outside manoeuvre. Can't get it done. It's right on that back bumper of Matt Daly's yellow car. We also have Alan Matthews looking for position behind them as well. Guy Swarbrick tumbling down the order. I'm not sure what's happened to him
Matthews
as well.
Looks like he had a very quick look down the inside of Colin Knief there, but can see there's look. We've seen Guy Swarbrick, or is that Will Harper? Yeah, that's Will Harper having a bit of an off.
Yes.
And Matt Daly will start lap 2 in first position.
Indeed, on the egg
now as well.
It was indeed on the egg. Just as they got through club, Matt Daly picked I think a bit of a quicker line. Colin Knief has to look in his mirrors for Alan Matthews. Looking up the inside, not quite on this occasion.
Headlights on, full intimidation.
Indeed it is, isn't it? Millman getting passed by Swarbrick out the back of the field as well. Will Inglis is actually in the pits after that excursion onto the grass. Alan Matthews really trying to catch up to the back of Colin Knief's car. 2 wheels for Matt Daly.
Oh, wow. Yeah, I was about to say Matt Daly's setup is looking particularly aggressive. I saw the back end of it on lap 1, and it looks like to be absolutely no give in the suspension at all.
There is not slight, I think, coding issue between Colin Knief's car. He is actually quicker though. He's managed to gain on the faster portions of the circuit through Goodwood and Village. He's looking to the inside line. Matt Daly cuts him off.
Block.
That was a very hard defensive manoeuvre from Matt Daly there. He saw Colin Knief coming, but very wide on the exit of club. Loses a bit of time there. This is going to be fascinating if they can keep this up for the remainder of the circuit. There has been carnage happened at club circuit. At the club chicane, Will Harper is off. Millman is off. Greg Young has just rejoined the circuit as well. Rob Whitney is off as well. Massive damage on his car.
Damage, yeah.
He has...
Oh, that's okay.
He is safe. That did look a bit sketchy for a second.
Look
Greg
like everyone's
Young
cooked their
locking
rear
up.
tyres, in fact. Yeah.
It's very strange. I think what's happened as well. Greg Young locking up the back tyres there, coming in to Campbell. But yeah, the order is shuffled massively. Guy Swarbrick now up into 6th. Barry Clayton up into 5th. The first 4 positions are all still roughly the same. Am driver Luke Wiggins.
A little bit, but the rest, it has to be said, are still absolutely on each other a few laps into the race now.
They are indeed, but Luke Wiggins a very, very good pace to keep up. Within sort of touching distance of the front runners. Very, very good position to sweep up any positions he is given. How are the rest of the grid doing? Greg Young and Paul Millman swap places as well. Can Greg Young get through? Little back end a little bit sketchy through there. Who has gone into the pits? We have Rob Whitney currently in the pits. Will Inglis in the pits. Will Harper's also, I think, serving a drive through. It was indeed, yes, serving a drive through there. So I think the first of the drivers we've been able to catch, just getting rid of any penalties that he's ensued. I don't know whether that was because of his accident or because of the track cut, but no, the stewards have been quite hot on anyone gaining through club, especially in the last corners.
They will be very busy following that massive incident that affected so many cars in the grid.
Was indeed. So we currently have, who's that, Barry Clayton. Guy Swarbrick is off the circuit and can't collect.
And he's collected Barry Clayton as well.
Oh,
he
no.
looks like Barry's going to be able to carry on.
No, Barry's very lucky to get away with that.
Yeah, that was a fairly big hit.
Yeah, on the side of his car. But no, very strange what happened to Guy Swarbrick, just completely running off the circuit. I think once you've hit the grass as well, that's it. It's an ice rink. You're kind of a passenger at that point.
Your tyres are already overheated, and then they're just going to go on the grass for good measure.
Exactly, yes. But
said, Matt Daly's got a little bit of a safety net now, hasn't he, compared to the start of the race?
He does indeed, but he can't let up as Colin Knief still has a good pace about him. Going through 25 minutes of race 1.
We just see Luke Wiggins dip it onto the grass a little bit.
It was just
like he's able to carry on. Yeah.
Whatever it was, he was got away with it. Flames coming out the back of his car on the downshift. But yeah, what has happened as well? Paul Millman is off on, I suspect, is Goodwood. Could be, no, that could be the exit of Seagrave actually. Rejoins the circuit, so another little strange incident with Mr. Millman there. Rob Whitney and the whole lap down now after his time in the pits, I think. So is Will Inglis, but does rejoin. Matt Daly is coming into the pits. The leader has serving a drive-through. So yeah, Matt Daly picking a penalty on somewhere around the circuit, and that's brought him back out all the way down into 4th place.
That will make a very grumpy Matt Daly, I can imagine.
It will indeed. It's had a massive effect on the grid, on the race as well. And yeah, Matt Daly's normally so consistent and quick, has had to serve a penalty for that as well. So all Colin Knief has to do is just not do the same. It's just he's got quite a buffer to Alan Matthews and Luke Wiggins. Matt Daly will have to get through 2 cars to get back up onto the back of Colin Knief's car as well. All within
I have no doubt he will be challenging them, but as we see, Colin Knief is looking a bit twitchy there.
Bit twitchy, bit wide as well, going into the Brooklyn Straight. But yes, he just needs to make sure he doesn't put a pinky finger wrong around the circuit and get through without any penalties. But yeah, very aggressive penalty system there is in place now at Thruxton. And yeah, the race leader suffering from that a little bit. Guy Swarbrick getting passed by Will Harper for 7th place. Greg Young down in 6th. So Guy Swarbrick going backwards a little bit through the order, unfortunately. Barry Clayton up into 5th. Don't think. And Matt Daly's not going to be too bothered by that. There's a bit of a gap here of about 14 seconds, 15 seconds, I think, between them. Luke Wiggins and Alan Matthews possibly setting up for battle for second.
It's going to heat up in a minute because Matt Daly isn't too far behind them.
He is not indeed, isn't he? I think if Luke Wiggins can just keep him at bay, he's on for a very good podium position, but he is in the sort of vulnerable position to drop off the order a little bit.
Yeah, if I was Luke Wiggins right now, I'd probably want to work with Alan Matthews to try and stay on the podium, not spend forever fighting each other, because they will just be within the jaws of Matt Daly instantly. In fact, you know, I think within the next lap or two, we'll see a challenge.
They will indeed, but you've got to try and overcome that competitive spirit at that point, don't you? Not to just try and overtake everyone at the same point. You can see how quick Matt Daly is on the exit of club. Colin Knief is doing his best to open up that gap a little bit. Alan Matthews a bit slower on that last lap. 5 seconds opening up now between Knief and Matthews. But the gap's coming down now for the battle for second, essentially, isn't it? Between three cars. 10 minutes remaining. Everyone's done, I think, trying to conserve their tyres a little bit.
Yes, they will be a huge factor by the end, towards the end of this race. I can see around this circuit now, especially we've seen there's a fairly big variety in setups. It looks to be just looking at the behaviour of the cars.
Oh, definitely.
Imagine if someone's gone quite aggressive on the camera, I think they'll be regretting it towards the end of the race. So maybe this might not be you never know, it might not be a secure podium for Matt Daly here.
Possibly. They're all quite close together, aren't they? Luke Wiggins through club.
Like he almost had a... Oh dear, he kind of fell into the jaws of Matt Daly now. Looked like he had an explore down into club, but...
He did. He suffered a little bit on his line, I think. A little bit, trying not to run into the back of Alan Matthews, and that has allowed Matt Daly to breeze past him on the exit of club through Allard. But Luke Wiggins trying to come back at him a little bit. Not quite. Trying to follow the line that yellow car leads. It's not follow the yellow brick road, it's follow the yellow quick car. We have Alan Matthews still in second place. Was not wanting to see that in his mirror. Didn't particularly want to see, I think, the yellow car chasing him down.
No, it has to be, yeah. Luke Wiggins has kind of recovered it a little bit, though, and is certainly not giving the position easily to Matt Daly.
He's not taking it lying down, is he? He's trying to get into that slipstream, trying to follow Matt Daly's line. Matt Daly eyeing up Alan Matthews. Could it be at the breaking point into club? Runs very wide, carries more speed. Yeah. He's looking at the outside into the braking zone. Can he outbrake Alan Matthews? Alan Matthews trying to cover off the inside. Just about. A masterclass of braking there going into the club, and Matt Daly, gets second place off Alan Matthews so easily.
Excellent racecraft there, but again he is under pressure still. Headlights on.
He was indeed. Alan Matthews trying to come back a little bit. Can he get him under braking? He cannot. Matt Daly is now just tiptoeing through his line and can't. Alan Matthews can't find the braking point he needs to try and get past. And look, Matt Daly now opening up the gap already. Luke Wiggins there can't do anything about it either. Not close enough. And no, the order is completely shuffled again. But with 8 seconds between our leader of race 1 this evening, Colin Knief.
Just dipping it onto the grass ever so slightly there.
He's seen the change in order on the time screens from Sean, and he'll know that Matt Daly is going to be on his rather long tail at the moment, but trying to chase him down at the moment. We'll see how quickly that gap can come down. Or Matt Daly might get another penalty. He's going to have to be careful not to do the same thing again, really.
Indeed. Impressive race from him, though, to recover from a drive-through like this. It's not the victory he would have wanted yet, but you never know.
Indeed. Just looking a little bit further down the order. Barry Clayton coming through club in 5th place. We have Greg Young down in 6th as well. Again, another sort of recovery from him after an incident at club. Will Harper putting in a good effort as well down in 7th. Guy Swarbrick down in 8th place as well in that OP Oils sponsor car. Paul Millman down in 9th. We have Rob Whitney a lap down in 10th place, and Will Inglis in 11th place as well. I don't think we're going to see another lap or him get lapped again by Colin Keneally. I think they're a bit further around the circuit to stay away from each other enough. The gap now between Colin Keneally and Matt Daly, 6 and a bit seconds. It's come down a couple of seconds over the last few laps.
Luke Wiggins and Alan Matthews having a bit of a hot battle now.
There was indeed. I think Luke Wiggins had a better exit on club and got the position off of Alan Matthews. So Luke Wiggins back up into onto the podium. Very brave manoeuvre to get that done. And yeah, he did force Alan Matthews to use as much track as he dared there. He saw heading into a T1. He almost looked like he had to dab on the brakes to try and keep it in tarmac. Indeed. Alan Matthews not letting him get away too easily. Still trying to find a creative line around. Just wonder whether Alan Matthews possibly may have eaten up his tyres too much trying to get away from Matt Daly. And now Luke Wiggins conserving a bit because he was a bit easier on the car for the first section of the race. So whether that's allowed him just that little bit more grip as Alan Matthews run very wide on the exit of Church.
Yeah, he just washed out totally. Looked like he was just trying to match the speed of the car in front and just didn't work for him, unfortunately.
He definitely was trying to keep up a little bit, but if he tries that too often, his lines are gonna suffer, and he's not gonna have a chance to fight back for 3rd place. So Luke Wiggins, very, very good. Consistent, safe pace as well, not taking any penalties, not putting the car under too much strain, and is on a good pace for a podium at the moment as well.
Impressive race from both of these drivers, really. They haven't put a foot wrong at all.
They have not indeed. We still have Matt Daly down in 2nd. Don't think he's not closing the gap down anymore. Colin Keneally has responded by putting in a bit more of a quicker time and open the gap up a little bit more. So I think unless Colin Keneally can keep out of the penalty books for the next 3 and a bit minutes, then that will be a good finish for him. Will Harper taking another penalty, I think, by the looks of it, taking another drive through. So I think that's his 2nd this evening. Unless someone else has taken a 2nd drive through penalty that we're not aware of, and that has allowed Guy Swarbrick to close the gap. Of course, they're still going to be on the same condition of tyres. You can see Paul Millman and Rob Whitney in the background. What has happened now? There has been Luke Wiggins, I think, of his own accord, has binned on the exit of club. Very, very slow. And just caught him rejoining the circuit, I think, on the end of that. And that has handed the position back to Alan Matthews. A little mistake at the end. And
I must apologise to Luke Wiggins there for the commentator's curse. Saying not put a foot wrong, and unfortunately, unless he can bring a challenge to Alan Matthews in the remaining few minutes, it looks like the podium position is Alan's.
It does indeed. 2.5 minutes remaining of race 1, with 1 lap extra from the leader. So I think we've got another 3 possibly laps of this race remaining. As we see back wheels lock up Colin Keneally's car as he goes through club chicane back onto the main straight. Matt Daly just doing the same as well, 8 seconds behind. The gap not coming down now, so I think Matt Daly settled for 2nd place in the podium. And the gap, unfortunately, opening up between Alan Matthews and Luke Wiggins on the start-finish straight as well. So with Will Harper's drive-through penalty, Guy Swarbrick not able to make a move on that position. Guy Swarbrick still down in 8th. Greg Young down in 6th. Barry Clayton down in 5th. So they've all sort of opened up a little bit. So a good amount of pace from all the drivers. And they're all sort of in their own races at the moment. No one battling too much for position. Millman trying to chase down Swarbrick, but not able to do that yet. Rob Whitney coming onto the back of... I know we do see lapped cars. Will Inglis coming out of the pits as well, I think, possibly serving another drive-through penalty. But Colin Knief just coming up to the back of Rob Whitney. Rob Whitney maybe another lap down. Paul Millman going through the pits as well. Serving another drive-through penalty as well. Swarbrick is ahead of them in 8th. Colin Knief obviously got past Rob Whitney incredibly cleanly. Rob Whitney getting well out of the way. And he's going to have to do the same as well for Paul Millman. Matt Daly is actually going to come up to Paul Millman first. "20 seconds of race 1, and then we're going to have an extra lap from leader Colin Knief before the end of the race. Don't think there's any more lapped cars he's going to have to deal with.
He does have Paul Millman in front of him.
He does indeed. Paul Millman
Getting
pulling to the
nicely.
inside of the circuit. Yes, very, very much. Good job from Paul Millman letting Matt Daly through. Matthews and Luke Wiggins. Only still a second separates them.
Yeah, these two, apart from obviously Luke Wiggins' mistake, they've just been identical to each other pretty much the entire race. It's been brilliant to watch.
They have indeed.
I like how Alan has copied Luke as well in turning his headlights on. I don't know if they think
does the intimidation? I don't know. Does the intimidation kind of negate itself if they both got them on?
Exactly.
I'll intimidate you. Well, I'll intimidate you back.
And Colin Knief has gone for this more sensible strat, I think, and found himself an extra 0.4 of a horsepower or something and turned his headlights off.
Exactly. It's lightened the strain on the alternator, so it's it's allowed his car to go extra speedy.
If you need to engineer a car, I'm your guy.
16 laps of race 1 for all of our 11 drivers. And as we watch Colin Knief just complete the final one this evening for race 1 before our reverse grid for race 2. You can see Matt Daly in the distance, but nothing he can do about that. Colin Knief finds his breaking point for club circuit. Whatever line he has for this pit, it's served him well. No penalty served as Colin Knief takes race 1 win.
It was an impressive victory from there. He did have to fight for it at the start of the race. It certainly wasn't in the bag. Matt Daly had some incredible pace as he crosses the line. He had some incredible pace at the start, but unfortunately that drive-through kind of unravelled it for him.
He did a little bit. Alan Matthews taking 3rd place there, and Luke Wiggins behind him taking 4th. Still a very good position for both of them. Barry Clayton finishing 5th, Greg Young taking 6th, Will Harper 7th, and Guy Swarbrick in 8th, Paul Millman in 9th, Rob Whitney in 10th, and Will Inglis will finish in 11th place once they come across the line as well. But yes, very good result for Colin Knief, taking race 1 win. We'll just go for a break and then get the server reset for race 2. Don't go anywhere. welcome back to race 2 this evening at Thruxton for the first of 2 reverse grid races. 20 minutes for race 2 plus a lap from the leader, and we have Guy Swarbrick on pole position, and next to him on row 1 is Will Harper, row 2 is Greg Young and Barry Clayton, row 3 is Luke Wiggins and Alan Matthews, row 4 is Matt Daly and Colin Keneath, row 5 is Paul Millman and Rob Whitney, and then at the back is Will Inglis. So a very interesting order for race 2, Reeve.
Indeed, yeah. I'm actually very looking forward to seeing Alan Matthews and Luke Wiggins ahead of Matt Daly and Colin Keneath, because as we saw at the start of the last race, they're certainly giving them a challenge, aren't they? So I'm hoping for an excellent battle between those 4 cars. In particular, I think they'll be ones to really watch out for. Of course, the reverse grid can provide some interesting parts of lap 1, so we'll hope that everyone survives through and get some good racing between these 4.
It can indeed. The start is going to be even more important for this one, isn't it? Because Matt Daly's got to try and get through the 2 white cars in front of him and then ahead of Colin Keneath. But unfortunately, Colin Keneath has occasionally come a cropper of sort of busy grids a little bit with at the start of certain reverse grids. So yeah, hopefully everyone can get through that calamity. There's a fair amount of space for them on the circuit, going through Allard and into Campbell. But yeah, Campbell was it wasn't actually Campbell, wasn't it? I think it was all sort of at club the end of the first lap, wasn't it, that there was a bit of a tussle.
Yeah, I can understand why. It's basically a big concertina effect, isn't it? Effectively, you got
indeed
2 very fast sections of track surrounding a very slow section.
Indeed. So we have the final few seconds of race 2 about to begin at Thruxton. Everyone, I'm sure, raring to go. After the pace of race 1, we have our 6 red lights on the gantry, who will win out of all of the drivers. The lights go out and away they go. Very good start for Guy Swarbrick. Greg Young, though, has got a good pace.
Yep. Matt Daly's already looking up the inside of, is that Luke? I couldn't quite make out if that Luke Wiggins or Alan Matthews.
He was indeed 3 wide going through the first couple of turns. Matt Daly looking for position. They all spread a little bit going for going through Allard, I think it is. Matt Daly, Colin Keneath side by side. Luke Wiggins also side by side.
Oh no, that is, yeah, apologies, Luke Wiggins, that is. This exactly the start to lap 1 that I wanted, really. It's these 4 close in battle.
It was indeed.
It's going to be excellent.
It was indeed. Matt Daly got a good start, but got completely cut off. Looking at the inside, as a slight touch, I think.
Excellent. The most close defence I think I've seen so far. They just kind of explode out 3 wide and then just close in again.
It was indeed. Colin Keneath has actually got on the outside of Matt Daly from that, as Matt Daly had to back off a little bit. Still side by side on the exit of Church. But yeah, Guy Swarbrick, is that Guy Swarbrick touching the grass randomly, slowing up completely and losing many positions, falling down the order. Will Harper out braking himself, going into club, spins in front of the entire chasing pack.
Yes, very lucky he kind of stopped where he did there. That could have been a massive calamity as everyone was piling into club.
Yeah, it's a great shame. I think he's missed his braking point and got out of the way very quickly, as we have Luke Wiggins on the tail of Greg Young for the lead. Going through Allard, looking for Campbell, Colin Keneath and Matt Daly side by side again. Championship positions, slight contact between the 2.
Yeah, it looked like Matt Daly just took a bit more curve than we wanted, and they kind of just flung the car in Colin Keneath's direction. It's wouldn't have helped them timing-wise, because if we look, Luke Wiggins and Alan Matthews are quite far up the road now and putting pressure on Greg Young.
They are indeed. Sky Swarbrick trying to get into that battle a little bit as well. Barry Clayton, I think, just down in 7th place. But yes, side by side are Luke Wiggins and Alan Matthews. Alan Matthews up the inside, going through Church again. Are they going to run wide? They've all got a lot of pace on.
It's a bit twitchy, yeah.
They're trying to carry as much speed as they can, to the detriment of going onto the grass there. Luke Wiggins has carried more grip. They all find their breaking point, getting very close to each other. Looks like Luke Wiggins has outbraked himself slightly. Just managed to save that, but on the exit, Alan Matthews is going to get a better exit and drive past the now third place Luke Wiggins.
So yeah, the top three really had quite a messy end to that lap there, and it has allowed Matt Daly and Colin Knief to really catch up now.
It did indeed. Look, Matt Daly's already looking for position round Luke Wiggins. Greg Young, I think that's what he was hoping for. It's allowed him to get a little bit of breathing space. Trying to get his head down. Open up the gap. 0.8 of a second now separate Young and Matthews. Luke Wiggins down in third, Matt Daly in fourth, with Colin Knief on his tail. He's not really, Matt Daly's not managed to get rid of Colin Knief. Runs very wide through village.
Yeah, extremely wide.
And that's allowed Colin Knief just to mop up that position very quickly. We've seen Matt Daly's very aggressive car setup.
Yeah, it looks. I think it was Luke Wiggins also had a fairly aggressive setup we saw going through that corner as well. It just looks terrifying because we see Matt Daly outbraking Colin Knief into club there. Very brave move from him there as we head onto the start-finish straight.
Very brave, breezes past Colin Knief for fourth place. It carries so much speed. He's actually managed to get past Alan Matthews on the exit of club very quickly.
Excellent exit.
Very, very good exit. Colin Knief trying to follow the pace set by Matt Daly through those set of corners, but held up now a little bit by Alan Matthews in fourth place. Luke Wiggins trying to get away from the chasing pack as well, but the quicker driver Matt Daly is going to be chasing him down with an entire 15 minutes of race 2 remaining. That's going to allow him to close the gap as well. We have Barry Clayton is now up into 6th as well behind them, trying to chase down this pack as well, doing good work to keep on the pace of Colin Knief and the like. In front of him, Will Inglis down in 8th, Will Harper in 9th, Rob Whitney in 10th, and Paul Millman down at the back, who I think is probably taken, I suspect may have had another drive-through penalty actually after that.
He's got an impressive amount of speed now. As we head towards club, he's going to hang it around the outside. Looks like he's got a bit of rotation on the back end. He does. Manages to keep it facing the correct direction, so good to him for that. But he's going to have to wait for that overtake now.
Alan Matthews has had to take a drive-through penalty, so that's going to bring him out of contention of that battling pack there, but was doing very, very well. Will Inglis has had to do the same as well. So drivers now coming cropper of the penalty system, but in the meantime, Greg Young has taken the race lead from Luke. Greg Young was already winning, wasn't he?
Beg your pardon. Had a little bit of contact with the rear end of Greg Young, and again, similar to Colin Knief, very lucky to keep it facing the right direction. He's now got Matt Daly for company. Greg Young, it has to be said, has really benefited from the reverse grid so far. Has not put a foot wrong, really.
He has not. Luke Wiggins was very close to getting that position. From Greg Young, but now we are down to a 4-car battle for the lead. Greg Young, Luke Wiggins, Matt Daly and Colin Knief all battling for position. Colin Knief is busying Matt Daly out the back. Matt Daly running him all the way around the outside. Colin Knief finding the space. He found the space on the grass, and can he get the manoeuvre done? He's still going to leave the door open a little bit. Couldn't quite close it in front of Matt Daly. As Matt Daly breaks for the club chicane. And who is that? Is that... Where was it? Luke Wiggins has had to take a drive through as well. What a shame. Barry Clayton also rejoined the circuit, but no, Luke Wiggins coming cropper of the drive-throughs. Clears those penalties, but is in a good position in 4th as well. So potentially a double 4th place finish. Greg Young handling the pressure very well, as he had both Matthews and Wiggins on his tail for a long time.
So Colin Knief is going to be putting Matt Daly under pressure again, possibly at the same corner. He's about to have the same excursion, I think.
He is indeed. This is the battle that we like to see between the two championship contenders at the front, Matt Daly and Colin Knief.
There he is. Positioning himself right on the outside of the circuit. He's going to dip in just behind for now.
He's tried that a couple of times. I think Matt Daly's starting to get wise to what Colin Knief can do as they've closed down Greg Young. Can Matt Daly outbrake him into club? They can't, no. Colin Knief looking to his outside. You can see that back wheel just locking up and the sparks coming off Matt Daly's car.
Yeah, Matt Daly must be running a seriously aggressive setup in terms of ride type. We've seen his car sparking a lot. I think Luke Wiggins as well, another person we've seen looking quite sketchy on some of the corners with the rebounds. We see him looking at the inside of Greg Young now.
It is indeed the battle for the lead between Daly and Young. Daly gets the manoeuvre done very cleanly on the outside before they even get into Campbell.
Lost a lot of speed on the exit though, and Greg Young was able to kind of just sit on the back end of him.
It was indeed, but Greg Young can't get anything done, and Colin Knief is going to follow through as well. Side by side, Colin Knief and Greg Young, as they run. Colin Knief ran all the way around the outside and gets second place off of Greg Young as well. So 2 positions lost for Greg Young in a matter of corners. So yeah, fantastic effort to maintain the lead for as much as he could. More than half the race. Half the race lead went to Greg Young. Matt Daly and Colin Knief muscled their way past, and now will continue their own battle for the lead, as we're just going to dip under 11 minutes of race 2. Did see a little bit of change for position at the back. So Luke Wiggins currently sitting in 4th place, going to club. Alan Matthews in 5th, and Guy Swarbrick on his tail. Will Harper and Barry Clayton battling for positions. Are going to be contacted? Not, no, just Harper just getting past Clayton there. What has happened here?
Wiggins has overtaken Greg. Greg Young's had to take a drive-through.
He has indeed. I saw that flash up on the order, and yes, Greg Young had to take the drive-through penalty system as well. And Luke Wiggins now has 3rd place. Matt Daly and Colin Knief separated by a second now, but we have seen Matt Daly, if he puts a foot wrong, can come a cropper of the same penalty system as everyone else. So for the next 10 minutes, I think he's going to be hoping and praying that that doesn't flash up on his screen, that he needs to take a drive through. Luke Wiggins up into the podium positions. I'm sure he's going to be very happy with that. What has happened to Alan Matthews, losing a lot of positions there, a couple of positions.
I wonder if he dipped it onto the grass perhaps, because he looks to be slow compared to Barry Clayton as well. What a shame. His race really hasn't gone as well as it looked when it started. But nice to see Guy Swarbrick up in 5th now. He's not too far behind Greg Young, in fact, and Barry Clayton will overtake.
He's only trying. There's contact between the two.
Oh dear, that has put him off at club. Oh dear.
What happened to Barry? They both rejoined very quickly. Hopefully trying to avoid each other. That hasn't meant they've got a penalty for that. But yeah, that was a strange one. They were both exactly side by side going through the braking point turning into club. So whether anyone should have conceded, that's a bit of a difficult one to call, I think. Reeve, do you reckon reckon Barry Clayton was in the right there, or should Alan Matthews have eased off that one?
I'm not too sure. I'm not going to necessarily say that either driver was in the right or the wrong. I think that would just be a racing incident. I think maybe if anything, Barry Clayton was probably trying to keep it side by side, and with these cars, understeer is always going to happen when you least expect it, maybe. And I think I'll just put that down to a racing incident when they're that close.
Indeed, as we see Colin Knief and Matt Daly now 0.2 of a second. You see a change of position for 5th and 6th as Will Harper gets past Guy Swarbrick. Like a very clean manoeuvre made there. 8 minutes of race 2 remaining. Matt Daly eking out the time a little bit more. So definitely quicker in the first sector, but slower in the second. And Colin Knief, I think, softer suspension setup. And ride height there, I think you can see a little bit higher. You can definitely allows Colin Knief to close the gap, as he has done again. Looking for a space.
You get squeezed by Matt Daly there.
He was looking for a space there, wasn't he? As the cars swap sides, suspension swap sides for was that Goodwood?
Yeah, let's just watch Matt Daly through the corner here compared to us. In fact, never mind. Looks like Colin Gneef is going to try.
Colin Keefe tried the inside line there, but had to concede that.
Yeah, I think you're right there. I think the softer setup. Colin Gneef is definitely running a softer setup than Daly. Daly looks incredibly aggressive on the back end. I think it's just helping the car stay more stable for Colin Knief. So, I mean, Matt Daly, if you see there, every single curb, Matt Daly was up on 2 wheels.
It was indeed. It was very. That looked like such a roller coaster for him to try and navigate the car through the last chicane at Club. But on the exit, has eked out a bit more time. But their tyres are going to be screaming in torture at this point as well in the latter stages of the race. So they've both got to contend with that those conditions as well. Just try and have a quick look down the order just quickly. We have Wiggins in third, still remaining in third, approximately 5-6 seconds ahead of Greg Young. So good, on for a good position there. Harper in fifth. Swarbrick is under pressure from Alan Matthews in sixth place. 6th and 7th respectively. Alan Matthews might get that position back. 7th place, as I said, sees Alan Matthews. Brian Clayton down in 8th, winning Gliss in 9th. Rob Whitney in 10th. Paul Millman. Where's Paul Millman in relation to everyone else? Paul Millman is in 11th, just coming out of Club. And Matt Daly and Colin Keefe just doing the same.
So they will be lapping quite soon, which could certainly have an effect with these two running so close.
Indeed, if they meet at the wrong part of the circuit and Millman can't get out of the way, or if they can't pass him quick enough, this could have an effect on the race result. But as we've seen, Millman are quite good at spotting when the quicker cars are going to get past him. Normally seen him a little bit further up the order, so but yeah, putting in a good race result as well. Looks like Matthews has got past Swarbrick on the exit, and Barry Clayton's looking to do the same as well. Side
with Guy Swarbrick. Swarbrick explored. Yeah, it looked like he explored the inside of Alan Matthews there and has had a little bit of contact with Barry Clayton. It looked like he kind of backed away from Alan Matthews and it kind of put him in the kind of the field of Barry Clayton almost.
It was. Clayton pushed Swarbrick wide, or Swarbrick went wide on the exit of Seagrave, and is now a few seconds off the pace of Clayton. Has to settle for 8th place at the moment.
Seen Alan Matthews a few times with that curb, as we just saw before then. Alan Matthews has been really riding that curb hard.
Yeah, indeed. Still less half a second separate first and second. As
Millman, that's one way to get out of the way of traffic for Millman there. Excellent job.
I mean, yeah.
It worked.
It did work. Hopefully he can continue. I don't whether that's
his car might not.
Whether that's a setup issue on his end, but I mean, yeah, it didn't affect the race result. But yes, so Colin. Well, that's distracted Matt Daly, hoping that Millman wasn't going to come across the circuit in front of him. But yeah, the final few. We've only got handful of laps remaining in race 2. And Matt Daly and Colin Knief will know that. And Colin Knief wants to try and find that one weak spot to exploit in Matt Daly's race this evening. They're both running a very, very even pace.
Yeah, Matt Daly's car really twitchy over the curb there.
He's losing a bit of drive, losing a pace. He's trying to defend hard. Colin Knief's got the run. He's having to go around the outside. He's not going to get it done into the braking point. Can he get a better exit? Back wheels in the air on Matt Daly's car on the exit of Club. You see Colin Knief wider on that, on that exit as well.
Yeah, I've seen him do that a couple of times. It's almost like he's kind of taking a little bit of sacrifice of speed by dipping it onto the grass. He's taking a sacrifice on kind of down the straight maybe to run through the corner a bit quicker.
Quite possibly. As I said, Matt Daly struggling on the middle to last sector, but quicker through Club and the first sector. But running very, very even pace I wouldn't expect anything less from the two championship contenders. Top of the table. Just a shame we're missing Andrew Whitehead as well. Possibly getting in on this battle as we see Colin Knieve. Can he get the front bumper on the outside? He can.
You have to be brave to keep this one. Yeah, looks like Matt Daly's going to fence him off there.
Loses speed. So he'll have to reset himself a little bit for another attack. Loses a lot of speed there now. 0.7 of a second off. Can he recover that for another attempt at the lead? Two minutes remaining, so we're going to have another 3 laps, I think, of race. Race 2. Millman's off the circuit again, just rejoining.
Yeah, I imagine he's either carrying quite a bit of damage or his tyres are now fairly cooked after previous spin.
I suspect they are going to be completely done by now, but you wouldn't suspect it, looking at the pace Matt Daly and Colin Knieve have done. Although Colin Knieve a little bit wider there, possibly struggling with his tyres tad more. Maybe the softer setup's a little bit kinder on him. Not too sure. He's brought the gap down again.
He has been in the hot air of Matt Daly as well for quite a few laps. We've seen Matt Daly again, just basically taking off.
yes.
Over the curves.
Somehow taking off and still keeping it in the right direction.
That was excellent from Colin Knieve there, just surgical and just how he followed Matt Daly through.
It was once again. Colin Knieve really does need that inside line going into the breaking point of club, really, to try and get that manoeuvre done. He needs to try and get Matt Daly to go wide and compromise his entry.
Yes, we see.
And Matt Daly very, very good at defending that line. As we see Millman, I think, just exit the track as well, repairing the car, I think, in the pits. The penultimate lap now for first and second place. They've kept up this pace for an incredible amount of time in race 2. Now it's just coming down to the last couple of laps.
He seems to have a quicker exit outside, although maybe a slight switch.
Slight twitch, bit of a wider exit, isn't it?
Yeah.
Carries the speed, but similar lines through this section, aren't they?
It's promoting some excellent battling, this Thruxton circuit.
It is indeed. Official now as the clock reaches 0, 2 laps to go. But Colin Knieve doesn't want to try and make that manoeuvre too soon, otherwise Matt Daly would just, I think, try and pick him off too quickly. Colin Knieve not close enough to make a manoeuvre yet. Can Matt Daly keep him at bay for one more lap? One more chance for Colin Knieve to gain that race win through Allard. It's eased off a little bit. Half a second separate them. That was a little bit of a dive. He was looking to the inside. Suffered a little bit there. He's actually lost a little bit more time. Alan Matthews getting past Will Harper for 5th place. And the gap's opening up a little bit more. Although we've seen Colin Knieve can carry a lot more speed through Village and Church. Whether that means he can close the gap. Is this his final attempt at resetting his attempt at first? Barry Clayton and Will Harper actually off the circuit. I think they've had a coming together halfway around the circuit on their final lap.
Daly has been able to keep him behind for now. It's all down to club.
It's down to club. I don't think that's going to be enough. I think Colin Knieve has missed his chance now. And on the final lap, coming through club chicane, it will be Matt Daly taking race 2 win. Well done to him. Very hard fought. And Colin Knieve will settle for second.
Excellent battle between those two there.
It was indeed a fantastic battle between the two.
Great recovery as well for Luke Wiggins, who will be coming across the line in just a second.
He will indeed. So look, he does indeed. Greg Young, they're a bit out of order, but Greg Young comes home in 5th after having the taking race lead for the majority. Barry Clayton's down in 6th, Ghost Warbrick in 7th, Will Harper in 8th. Will English will finish in 9th. Paul Millman has been lapped and takes 11th place. Sorry, Rob Whitney in 10th. There we are. Fantastic between the top two. But the race win went to Matt Daly. Just bear with us while we get the lobby reset again, and we will have our first full reverse grid for race 3 for the 10-minute sprint race to round out the evening. So don't go anywhere. welcome back to the final race this evening at Thruxton. We have our final 10-minute race, 15-minute sprint race, and a full reverse grid. So we have Paul Millman taking pole position, and it's not letting me go through the entire grid, but you can see Matt Daly and Colin Knief at the back of the grid. Guy Swarbrick in the middle there, Barry Clayton as well lining up next to him. Will Harper on the second row. Rob Whitney lines up on the front row as well. There we are. Paul Millman will take the lead going into the final race. So we have the final countdown just before the lights appear on the gantry. Everyone, I'm sure, is going to be still adrenaline fueled from race 2. And let's see what we can do with just 15 minutes on the clock. We have our 6 red lights. Everyone raring to go. They are out, and we are racing once again for race 3. That's a good start. I think that's who was that at the back?
Rob Whitney's had a good start, I think.
It was indeed, yes. But looks like Mr.
Although Will Bliss has got him ever so slightly, it has to be said. Or no, he's going to fight back. Oh, a bit too, maybe a bit too hopeful there, and it's caused a big crash,
There is contact between Harper, Whitney.
It's everyone.
It is a lot of people, yes. Barry Clayton is off as well. I think of a separate incident a little bit further around.
I think Knief and Degley seem to survive that pretty well and now find themselves towards the front. Paul Millman actually survived it.
Who is that going? That is Swarbrick going.
That's an impressive drift.
Very, very deep into onto the exit of Campbell. Hopefully he can rejoin safely as he does. So well held, and brings it back to the circuit.
Indeed, not what we want in racing, but I do have to give 10 points for style.
It was indeed.
As you see, Matt Daly's car very, very twitchy over that curb there. He's kept it in 5th, luckily. You've got imagine that scared Greg Young a little bit.
It was indeed. Colin Knief's trying to get away from Matt Daly as well in 3rd as he battles for position going through Club. And
Will Bliss had a much better exit than Paul Millman there.
It was indeed, yes. Millman holding on to the lead of the race for the entirety of lap 1. But looks like Millman running.
Puts it on the grass ever so slightly. He does keep it in the right direction, but Matt Daly has just powered through.
It was indeed. Millman, I think, might have been trying to get out of his way, but Colin Knief couldn't read that, and they are battling for position. And Colin Knief trying to find any space he can around Millman. Millman making Knief go right around the outside onto the grass. Greg Young's just on their tail in 5th. But it looks like Colin Knief may finally get the space he needs just to get round. Custody inside the circuit, through Goodwood, and off he goes. But Winning Gliss now has the lead of the race on lap 2. Matt Daly lucked out, read that position, read that manoeuvre very well and got 2nd place. And Colin Knief now trying to chase him down, so nearly a repeat of race 2 once again. Who do we have further down the order? Millman currently holding on.
Greg Young looking up the inside of Club. A very nice move from him there.
Very well done to get that done under braking very, very quickly. Alan Matthews down in 6th. Looks like he's going to follow through. Can he get a better exit on through Allard? He can indeed.
He does. He just gets his elbows out a little bit, kind of forces him as where he wants to put him, and that sees him in 5th position. So nicely done by Alan Matthews there.
It was indeed very well done. Down behind them, so we have Millman in 6th, Clayton in 7th, Swarbrick down in 8th, Rob Whitney after contact on the first lap in 9th, Harper in 10th, and Luke Wiggins, unfortunately after a very good pace in the first 2 races, currently at the back of the field. And what has happened there? Millman's on the grass. It was indeed. Following Swarbrick's example.
Has Inglis had a crash? He has.
He has indeed as well, of his own accord, I think. A bit of a sketchy join. And
it was. It doesn't look like he has much control of that car, though. I have to be honest. I don't think he's
kept it
That
out
was
the
an
tyre
entirely
wall on that
voluntary.
occasion. No, kept it out tyre wall. Very well skilled there. But yeah, slightly bit of a quick rejoin, I think. Nearly collected Greg Young in third. But yes, Will Inglis, I think, a little bit upset with himself. I think just needs to put his head down and put in a good pace for the rest of the race.
Well, that's benefited Matt Daly and Colin Keith quite well, hasn't it? In the first couple of laps of race 3.
They have indeed. Just over 10 minutes remaining sees Matt Daly and Colin Keith in first and second position. Greg Young and Alan Matthews now battling for the final podium place. And Barry Clayton just in the distance trying to chase them down as well. What can these two? So two separate battles happening. But again, it's a repeat of race 2 as Colin Keith and Matt Daly battle for the lead.
I won't complain if we have 10 more minutes of Matt Daly and Colin Keith just fighting it out.
It will not.
At Thruxton.
It will not. And yeah, looks like again another battle for third as well. Was that Millman is currently in the pits, getting his car repaired after that excursion. And I think Luke Wiggins is going to gain 10th place. So off from last position. What has happened here? Alan Matthews still, can he get the manoeuvre finished? He can. Gets the,
And it looks like Greg Young
place.
chose the safe option to club there, I think, and maybe didn't have the confidence in the car, maybe the tyres are a bit hot, trying to battle him, and decided to let him have it a club this time round.
Just a bit. That's allowed him to reset himself, I think, keep on the back of Alan Matthews, and I think we'll be trying for position once again in the next few
Could
corners.
work out better for him in the long run.
It could indeed, Colin Keith, Matt Daly close again, less than a tenth of a second separate them. The orange have a sponsored car on the back of that yellow Pirelli. As you can see, Matt Daly switching directions on the circuit. Can he keep Colin Keith at bay? He did so well for 20, 25 minutes of the other races, race 1 and 2. Matt Daly eking out a bit more of a position. What's happened to the rest? We had the 3-car battle building up for the final podium position. I think Barry Clayton gaining on 3rd and 4th as they find their braking points for club. Very neatly done. I suspect with everyone, with each one of these drivers competitive spirit and pushing each other so hard, I think probably we'll see one of them may end up with a penalty, I think, by the end of the race.
Yes, we've actually gone a few minutes without penalties. Good point.
They have indeed.
Although maybe people's repair times have been included in this.
Potentially. As Millman just getting his car repaired once again. Whereas Luke Wiggins in respect to the leaders, gaining on him a little bit perhaps, but no, I don't think that'll be too much of an issue. 0.3 of a second between Matt Daly and Colin Keith. And once again, following each other's lines through Church into Brooklands.
Extremely closely.
Indeed.
Oh, it looks like Keith had a very good exit that time round, though.
He has indeed. He's still on the outside of that braking point, and Matt Daly can run him
Yeah,
a
just
little bit
dive.
wide. Matt Daly, very, very good on the brakes into that corner as well. Can just put the car where he needs to. He just needs to keep Colin Keith on the outside of the braking zone into club, and he knows that he can't get the manoeuvre done.
So some really good skill from Matt Daly there on the braking then, because as we've seen, he has got a very hard setup on the rear axle, and that usually is not conducive at all to kind of stability under braking, but he's making it work. The guys for Warwick, is that a drive-through? I think it is, isn't it?
That is indeed. But that's incredible skill as well. To not only control your race at the front as well, but also control where everyone else is going as well, so they can't get their manoeuvres done. Puts the car exactly where it needs to be. And Colin Keith, I think, might not have any. He needs to come up with something different to try and get the manoeuvre done.
Yeah, it's going to be a repeat of last lap again.
It will indeed. On the exit of Church. Colin Knief hanging back a little bit. We have, I was about to say, it looked like it was hotting up behind as Greg Young just losing out to Barry Clayton possibly. Can Barry get the maneuver done? Is he trying to close the door? He can't quite close the door, leaves a lot of space for Greg Young, but suffers as he's cut the corner of the chicane. I think that's going to give him a penalty for that. So I think Barry Clayton tried to leave as much racing room as possible for Greg Young, but couldn't see where he was and ended up cutting the chicane. Hands that position back. Who do we have? Rob Whitney is also taking a drive-through penalty.
Imagine the stewards' rooms might be empty with actual race inquiries, but I imagine from the drivers there'll be plenty of inquiries about the new automated system.
Yes, not too sure what people's feelings are to this as well, as Barry Clayton's reset himself and trying for another challenge for 4th place. Side by side, trying to get up the inside of circuit, following the inside line all the way around. Pushing Greg Young wide, but Barry Clayton losing his place.
Too much speed.
Way too much speed. Lost his braking point. Kept it out of the wall very well.
It's probably where you don't want to be, to be honest. The way he hugged the inside is probably... number one, he's not carrying the same speed as if he'd gone a bit wider, but he's also not setting himself up for the latter parts of the track, and I think that didn't help there.
No, he didn't. He's all the way down into 6th place now as Will Inglis also gets another position. No, he doesn't. Yes, he does.
Ooh.
Not that. Yeah, okay. We might have to see him take another. He might try another lap. I'm not too sure. I think he was preempting a penalty there. Actually, not too sure on that one. But and he's actually lost out that position again. No, he's not side by side with
I think
with Clayton.
He has conceded just about now. The nose. Oh no, never mind. He's carried quite a bit of speed. He's going to try the outside maybe, but he's going to dip it onto the grass and lose a bit of time there.
There's a bit of a strange willy-won't-he pit entry from Will Inglis. We'll have to watch to see if he has to take his penalty again, if he misread that. But Colin Knief and Matt Daly, it's rinse and repeat for race 3. As the gap's still ever so close, but just not Colin Knief running out of ideas to try and get round Matt Daly, unless he's trying to conserve his tyres a bit for just a final couple of laps. Full on pressure trying to get round. Hoping Matt Daly will use more of his tyres in the final few corners. Will Inglis getting past Barry Clayton actually again on the braking zone into club. Did get that position back. Greg Young now all on his own in 4th place. Can just about see Alan Matthews up the road in 3rd. Good position for him, but yeah, back at the front for the last few minutes of race 3 is Matt Daly and Colin Knief. Paul Melman, you can see at the back, has been lapped. Luke Wiggins, after contact, is all the way down in 10th place, but probably on circuit, not too far ahead, just coming through the exit of club now, as Matt Daly and Colin Knief just find the breaking point. What's happened here? Rob Whitney's calls got past Guy Swarbrick for 8th place. So didn't see that battle happening. Well, Inglis and Barry Clayton just the gap opening up a little bit between the two. So I think this is going to be the third lap remaining now for the two leaders. Colin Knief bringing the gap down a little bit.
It has just been tremendous racecraft from these two for the entire race, must be said. I mean, to be this close to each other and to have not put a foot wrong in 2 races now.
It's been very, very good between the two, isn't it? All the way through, and to keep up such a high pace as well for so long.
I imagine if we stopped for a bit of a refuel, they could probably have a bit of an endurance event on our hands.
Indeed.
See Colin Keith just echoing Matt Daly's line there.
Indeed, he just carries so much more speed, but just can't get around Matt Daly's car.
Yeah.
Matt Daly just so good at blocking him.
Yeah, he had a very hopeful look at the inside there on the exit, didn't he? But nothing was going to happen there, and he will remain in the same position that he has for many a lap now.
Yeah, Matt Daly just so good at just holding that inside line. You could argue he shouldn't be moving quite so much, maybe, but because he is
entitled to the one move, isn't he? Really,
it is one move as to blue book standards. But arguably, is he moving from the inside to the middle of the road again? I'm not too sure. It's a very sort of off camber turning braking point corner to do, isn't it? It's very technical. So
it is. Yeah. He certainly. This is Matt Daly we're talking about. He's not done anything too over aggressive at all, has he? He's been harsh but fair. If you get what I mean, he has allowed for. He's put up a strong defence.
They run through once again. The clock reaches
just
0.
See the back end switches. Oh yeah, it does. Sorry, pardon me.
No, yeah, very, very, very quick sprint race for race 3. So this will be the final lap once they come across the start-finish line once again. So one more lap remaining for Colin Keith to try and get past, try something new, try and outwit Matt Daly. But it's obviously very difficult to do. Colin Keith had his chance when he was in front of Matt Daly at the beginning of the race. But Colin Keith caught out by, I think it was Paul Millman on the outside of the circuit, and that allowed Matt Daly to very quickly get that position before they entered into Campbell. But their tyres would have been cooked. I'm sure they will be very, very tired in their race seats this evening. And it's been a very entertaining, very hard fought race for race 3 as well. I don't think there's any other battles ensuing. Rob Whitney and Ghost Warwick, I think their gap has opened up a little bit. Barry Clayton and Will Harper. Clayton's possibly looks like he's going to secure 5th place. Millman down in 11th place.
Must be said, Matt Daly has been a bit of a force this weekend, really, hasn't he? I mean, he lost the win of race 1 though into that drive-through, but he only had 1 lap in quali and got 2nd. And it looks like he's about to take home his 2nd victory of the weekend.
Indeed, Matt Daly takes race 3 win this evening at Thruxton, and Colin Keith settling for 2nd place, but a fantastic result for him as well in the championship. So very well done to the two of them. Very, very respectable drivers. Very good racing, very good clean racing for the two of them, and some very, very good results.
Indeed, Alan Matthews with a very nice 3rd. He's both him and Luke Wiggins will be, I'm sure, very happy with the points that they have taken from this weekend as well. Some exceptional driving from them as well. It's a shame fortunes weren't quite as good in race 3 for Luke Wiggins, but nevertheless, some really good driving from these two.
Greg Young down in 4th, fighting for the lead at one point, but couldn't hold out. But a very good result for him as well. Barry Clayton down in 5th, with Inglis finishing in 6th. Will Harper in 7th. Rob Whitney in 8th. Gus Warbrick taking home 9th there. Luke Wiggins, his worst race result for this weekend, down in 10th. Still a top 10 position, still a good result. And Paul Millman, you can see, stationary in 11th as Wiggins. Didn't bother with brakes. Didn't bother with the brakes at the end.
Brake dancing, I think that was.
True. Very true. Fantastic. Any final words to round out this evening's events, Reeve?
So yeah, I think that was a cracking weekend overall. I think it probably wasn't most overtake heavy track, but I thought it promoted some very good battling. We saw, the likes of Colin Keith just being absolutely rapid through Brooklands, etc. Just cars performing differently on different parts of the track, and I thought it did some really good battles. Probably one of the highlights of the season for me. As well as I was very impressed by Luke Wiggins and Alan Matthews as well.
It's very good all round, wasn't it? Very good clean racing from everyone. And yeah, it's astounding how much of a setup change has an effect on your speed in different parts of the circuits. Colin Knief so much quicker through the midsection compared to Matt Daly, but where it counted, where the braking zone was, where Matt Daly was able to really outbrake everyone else going into club, that was turned out to be the decider at the end, wasn't it? And as he kept that position. So yes, so that rounds out rounds 21, 22 and 23. The next rounds 24 and 25 will be contested in 2 weeks' time at Knock Hill Circuit.
Oh, that will be fun.
That will be fun. That is such a roller coaster for these. Yes, such a roller coaster for these cars as well. That will be in 2 weeks' time on the 20th of May. And yeah, so yeah, I hope to see you then. Thank you very much for joining me this evening. Again, thank you, Reeve, for joining as well. Co-commentating. Good to have you as always.
Good to be here. Had some great fun.
Good. And yeah, we'll see you in 2 weeks' time. Thank you for watching. Have a good weekend.
Thank you.